Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Cicero Planning Board meeting. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Zach, would you lead us off, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business is the approval of the July 2nd meeting. Before we do that, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about the zone change recommendation we made at that meeting for the property on East Taft Road from agricultural to industrial. I'm going to have Neil start with the what we should be looking at relative to the zone change recommendation. And, whether or not a site plan should be involved, what it means relative to an approval or disapproval. So Neil, if you could.
Generally, when you're considering a zone change, there is a tendency for planning boards and town boards and everybody to treat it as as a planning question, okay? And what happens is, you have an applicant who comes before you, he has a project in, right? And so he's going to push the project that is the impetus for the zone change, okay? So now you're asking a whole bunch of site plan questions. They're all irrelevant. Okay, because what you're asking stuff like how many trucks, how many hours. He's not asking for site plan approval. The applicant is asking to change a zone. Okay, and now your line of inquiry should be, the zone was, in this case, agricultural. What would the difference be if I now approved an industrial zone? Because that applicant, 2 days after you ask, the zone change can say, change my mind, I want a different use there. And all of those uses that are in that new zone come into play. They're all approved now because you in fact, approve the zone change based on site plan issues. That's really not what you should be looking at. What you should be looking at is the effect of any one of the things that they could do in that new zone. And so if you wanted it, and you have an applicant in front of you, you may want to ask them some questions. One of the questions may be something like, well, what would the effect on the surrounding community be and the neighbors that are right behind the site if they put, let's say, a multiple storage facility there? He doesn't want a multiple storage facility. That'll confuse him because he's thinking that he's just going to site plan or it's a batch plant in this case. But that is not the question before you. The question before you is it a good idea to have the zone go from an agricultural from those permitted uses to industrial in all of the uses that would be involved in that? And that's really your inquiry, not what any particular applicant is going to, plan and doing on the side. It's almost irrelevant. Your job is, in a zone change, is to evaluate how that property fits with, if you take it from only agricultural uses, and then you add in all the things that you could do in an industrial zone, not what he's proposing. Because if he sells the land and in 6 months, the new person will look at that land and say, these are all the uses I can have for this property. And you made a recommendation based on whatever that applicant told you they're going to go inside. But that's not what happens, because eventually another applicant or another owner can take advantage of any available use in the new zone. And so that's what you have to watch out for in the zone check. Because the temptation is to talk back and forth with an applicant and just talk about what they're proposing. Because they're in front of you pushing the plan.
Shouldn't that be a two-step process, though? It seems kind of, I didn't believe the guy was lying, but so now.
It's not whether he's lying.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with that, because he could be the most honest person in the whole wide world. And he's telling you his story of what he wants to do.
Correct.
But if he sells that property in 6 months, and you already approved a zone change that says, you can do anything in an industrial zone, that's all the permitted uses, the next person up
Right.
can do anything there. So your inquiry is not about what this applicant is telling you, because this applicant is telling you all about what he wants to do on the site. That's site plan.
And has that happened here before?
It happens everywhere.
It's pretty common, yeah.
Listen, it is the most natural thing in the world to have an applicant come up, talk about a project and start answering questions about a specific project when they're talking about a zone change.
Cause if you know that ahead of time, I mean, obviously, then you might have,
Right,
Look at it
your
differently.
ahead of time research should be, I'm gonna look at all the proposed, all the uses that they can now do in an ag zone. That's what he's got. Now I'm gonna look at all the uses that they could do in the zone that they're proposing. In this case, it was industrial. And what your research should be and what you should be thinking is, these uses are these uses, and then if I make this industrial, any one of those uses will it all, fit the character, nature, not what this guy's planning. It's any of the uses that you have to consider.
so Mark was smarter than us. I'm just kidding.
No,
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't. And in fact, it is a two-step process. If they get the zone change, then they have to go through site plan, and we go through all of the questions that would go along with a site plan. And just so everybody knows, the reason for this discussion is we may very well vote again on it tonight. And in fact, Mike, you would vote on it since you were sitting up in place of Jim, who wasn't here. And then secondly, I may have been able to do a little better job of making the motion, I think, because it was a motion to disapprove. So you had to vote yes on a negative, which is
Right.
not real common, right?
I was a little confused.
So the important thing is that I want you all to vote based on what you think is right. But I want the confusion to go away, and I want you to understand the zoning process. And another thing is that the comprehensive plan came up in the future land use recommendations. And I just want to read a couple of snippets out of the comprehensive plan. One of them is: future land use map for the town of Cicero illustrates a number of land use categories. Unlike a zoning map, in future land map, it is not intended to represent strict regulation boundaries. So they're saying, here's what we think, but it doesn't have to fall within the line that we're showing here. And then it says, future land use strategies and accompanying map do not negate limitations on development due to other constraints, such as wetlands, floodplains, steep slopes, agricultural districts, which this was. And then lastly, the future land use strategy does not preclude the town's reviewing boards from making decisions that do not align perfectly with the future land use.
I know, but I guess I'm confused in the sense that you're almost gonna vote one way for protection so that something doesn't happen. But if it was legit and all of a sudden that if everything was gonna go standard, then it would have been a good idea, but that presents just other problems that I don't know how we can separate the difference, you know what I'm saying? Cause things like that shouldn't put us at risk.
Well, I think here's the thing, and you can't always do this. Things should transition, in my opinion. If you have an agricultural district, and then maybe the next one would be residential, right? And then maybe townhouse, neighborhood commercial, then industrial. So there's some separation between the existing property owners and what might impact them negatively.
Right.
Just my thought.
Can I say something?
Of course.
My,
Can you pull your mic up, please?
yeah. I was one of the board members confused about the vote. My confusion was the motion put forward. What I didn't hear was disallow the zone change. And that's why I voted no, because I thought it was to allow. I was confused at why a motion was put forward to disallow when we were being asked for a zone change.
It's definitely, we don't do that a lot.
Yeah, so
So-
Double negative.
Yeah. I kind of stumbled on that.
I
myself.
didn't
mean,
want
it's a
to
thing.
approve it, but
Right.
I didn't hear the disallow. I just assumed it was allow.
Well, when we reconsider it.
Yeah.
Decided to reconsider it, we'll be clear that it's gonna be pretty much the same motion, but motion, because you almost have to employ a double negative to do it. Because motion is to tell to recommend to the town board not to have the zone change. So that's.
But shouldn't the-
In favor of not having the zone change.
But shouldn't the first vote have been, do we want to allow this? No, because I think everyone that voted no, well, possibly
The
thought.
first person vote was to disapprove, to recommend disapproval. That was the first vote.
So is a vote of yes to say no? That's where it gets confusing.
Okay.
It's confusing.
But the people are coming in front of us asking for it, so shouldn't the first vote be, okay, do we want to approve it? No. I don't know, that was where I was confused.
Whoever makes the motion, we act on. And
Okay.
Motion was for disapproval because it seemed that that's what. That would have seemed to be a majority. But it just didn't vote that way.
So it's basically vote yes if you want to tell the town board to not approve
Right.
the zone change.
That's the confusion, but we have the opportunity to clean that up.
Okay,
And so you haven't approved the minutes. So if you want, I can do some motions to try to clean this thing up.
Let's do that. And just lastly, an update on the applicant. They did go in front of the town board at their last meeting last week. Town board opened the public hearing and left it open because there was some indication that additional residents wanted to come and speak about the project. So any other questions before we move forward? Jim, you won't be voting. Mike, you will.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay, so you're gonna revote?
Yes.
This whole thing for you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Everybody clear? Okay.
You're gonna make a motion to reconsider and clarify the planning board's recommendation in regard to the application for a zone change known as Circle T Enterprises LLC, John Torres, 6709 East Taft Road, agricultural to industrial. This reconsideration is to clear up any confusion in regard to the initial recommendation made at the July 2nd meeting of the Town of Cicero Planning Board.
I'll make that as a motion. Would somebody like to second it?
Second.
Mike? You get to vote first too.
All right, I got one question. You
reconsider.
earlier had said, okay, that it's agricultural, and then there's like 5 steps before it gets to industrial that would have been recommended. I mean, I want to understand this. So when someone suggests going from here to here, that doesn't sound like it
That is
should
One
happen.
of the things you can consider.
Right.
But this motion that is in front of you is
I-
whether or not you're going to open this thing back up to clarify what happened at the July 2nd meeting.
So that's what you're asking. So I think then we should, because it means,
That's a yes.
yes. There you go. Thank you.
Chuck?
I also would vote yes to disapprove sending it to the town board.
No.
No.
Not yet.
You're just voting to open it up.
Here's this motion. Are we wanna open it back up to clarify the July 2nd meeting and the results there, because it seemed to be confusing.
Yes,
Let me read the motion again. It's a motion to reconsider and clarify the planning board's recommendation in regard to the application for a zone change known as Circle T Enterprises LLC, John Torres, 6709. So the motion is to reconsider what we did on July 2nd. That's what you're being asked.
That's all.
That's it.
yes,
Want to reconsider it?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
yes.
Mary,
yes,
Zach,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
So now we're gonna propose the motion with the double negative. Okay, you're gonna move for the adoption of a resolution recommending the disapproval of the application for a zone change known as Circle T Enterprises LLC, John Torres, 6709 East Taft Road, agricultural to industrial. Now, a yes vote would be in favor of a recommendation to the planning board to disapprove the zone change.
Mike? Are you confused or?
No, I'm
Then-
not
Then
confused.
I want you to vote how you think, what you think is right.
Again, too, here I am, I'm kind of new, but you want to reconsider it, but then also now you gotta vote right away without really giving it time
Yes,
to think about it, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And
What's your
that's
vote?
something- So I'm voting no, right?
No, if you vote yes, you're recommending that the town board approve the zone change.
if you think the zone change should not happen, you vote yes on this.
I'll vote yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes,
Zach,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Now, you're gonna move for the adoption to approve the minutes of the July 2nd, 2025 meeting as
You made the motion, but, the people that will officially make that motion, the same people who made the first one? Did we ask, did you ask? I
It
didn't
was,
hear you
the
ask.
motion actually came from them. He just so moved.
Okay, so it's the chairman and then who seconded it?
He's the one that said second.
It was Chuck Abbey.
Perfect, thank
Yeah.
you.
Now, you're gonna give me a so moved on this. You're gonna move to approve the minutes of the July 2nd, 2025 meeting as amended by tonight's vote to clarify the zone change recommendation known as zone change, known as Circle T Enterprises LLC, John Torres, 6709. Motions in regard to the zone change recommendation is set forth in the minutes of the July 2nd. The minutes of July 2nd are hereby deleted in their entirety and replaced with tonight's motion, recommending that the town board deny the proposed zone change.
Any questions?
In
I'll make,
other words-
I'll make the motion. I'm sorry, go ahead.
In other words, what happened on July 2nd is deleted in the minutes and replaced with what you just said.
I'll make that motion. Do you have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Mike?
Yeah.
Or Chuck,
Yes.
Mary,
yeah.
Zach,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you. That one got confusing. Now we'll open the planning board up to public comment. If there's anybody here that would like to address the board on any active application, you may do so now. Given nobody's approach, we'll close the public input and move on to the first agenda item. This is a site plan review continuation for Canandaigua National Bank at 8065 Brewerton Road. Good evening, welcome back.
Lisa Wenberg, representing CNB Bank. We have some handouts for you guys. Some items that were, came in after I sent my runner today, so.
Thank
And
you.
some large copies. Who wants the big copies? You want that one?
Small fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Jeff Ashline from CNB, Jeff Hoff from HK Architect. Oops, sorry.
Welcome.
That one, this one. There you go.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll take one.
Sure, I'm sorry. Oh, you get the big one.
Great. That's what I need.
So you won't have to swim, so it'll
That's
be okay.
fine.
Alright, so we had received some comments from the design committee, which we've addressed in the response letter I believe you guys already received today. You should have that already. And we have some architectural updates and then site plan updates, which is what you should have received earlier as well. And then after the fact, we did receive the updated photometric, which I've already reviewed with Mark Parrish. So we included the new update, which is the papers, that I have included there. And then Jeff has included some renderings and we have just a couple architectural updates from the responses. And then we also received the letter from SHPO. So that's included in the packet I just gave you today saying that there's no effect. So those were our updates. So if you had any questions, you can go through the responses if you need to. I can tell you what we changed or.
I want to go to you. You sent a letter today. And you've had a chance to review all of the new information.
Yeah, everything, including the information that was just submitted, I've looked over, yes.
You're good with everything?
Yep.
Terrific. Beautiful bank. We'll open up to questions. Jim?
Okay, you made some changes with regard to lighting.
Yes.
Okay, and the poles went away out by the road.
Yeah, the poles that were out by Route 11, we realized they were in the aqua easement. They don't allow any poles in the easement, so they've been shifted. If you can see the two islands that we have on either side of the parking where the handicapped is, we've moved both of the poles there. We did add a light pole because there was a request for a sidewalk connector from the bank over to the Verizon site, so we added lighting on that side as well.
Okay, and lights on the building.
The lights on the building stayed the same. The question from Mark last time was that the light level was very bright under the canopy and on the site. So we've reduced the levels to where he's comfortable. So that was the comment.
Okay.
And the
I'm-
sign's gonna be internally lit.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
all set.
I agree that this design of the building is very nice. It's improve that area. Nicely. Does this somewhat resemble the one in Canandaigua? Or this is just a fresh design?
Jeff, can you answer that question?
Repeat the question.
Pardon?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Oh, does this resemble the one in Canandaigua at all, or just a fresh?
No, not at all. The one in Canandaigua was, we're from 1887.
Okay.
So it's quite old, but we're in a new community and we're kind of doing a little modern approach here and investing ourselves in the area. So we have three, one here, one in DeWitt, one in Liverpool, and one downtown that are all going to be kind of moving at the same time. So we have different designs for all of them. We never do a cookie cutter branch.
Oh, okay.
So it's always kind of, we want to try to fit in with the community that's here and so forth, but we think this makes a nice statement, but it's subtle yet smart.
That's very nice. So you answered my other two questions about how old Canandaigua Bank was.
138 years. I had to think about it before we got here today.
And looks good. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Work schedule, what were you shooting for?
Schedule for construction?
Sure.
We'd love to start as soon as you all let us, probably in August, I would think, late August, to be open for May, June-ish of next year.
Great.
Open our doors.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Mary?
So this sign on the building, that's gonna be illuminated? That lit?
Speak to that too.
Okay.
That's okay. That's fine. Yeah, so it's an internally illuminated sign. We actually just went through a new rebranding process for our whole organization. And this will be one of the first rollouts of the new sign. So yeah, it's a white sign. Our typical color, as you have seen in Lisa's packet, is a kind of an apple red. But because it's on a dark surface, we do have an alternate that our team has gone through. And the fact that we're in front of another building that also has a red logo on it, we thought it might be nice to do white to distinguish ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, I love the style of the building. Looks great. But where's this going?
If you look on the site, yep, right there. And out toward the road,
Yeah, nice.
you can see it when you're coming up Route 11.
So that is a standard CNB clock that we've done through a company called Verdon. We have them in probably 80% of our branches. So we have 26 branches in Monroe and Ontario County, and plus the 4 going up here. We'll have 4 clocks like that to kind of, everybody sees it's an icon. They know it's CNB, and it's just a marker.
Love it. Thank you.
Jack?
Just very nice. I like it a lot. Looks really sharp. Thank you.
I'm all set. Mike?
No, well, I did one quick question. The whole paved area is completely just for your bank, so the separation between the other building, which Verizon's on, and you, there's some grass area?
Yeah.
Or
so
I couldn't,
There's a small lawn area and you can see that number
Okay.
12 is at the bottom. Yep.
So-
And then we have the sidewalk connector and then, so we have the plantings that are kind of in the areas that we can kind of fit it.
So
There-
the whole parkway is
yeah,
all
yeah.
just yours, okay. that's
Yep,
fine.
and you enter in a separate driveway too. It's-
Okay,
It's
fine.
not connected to
Yep,
the
no
Verizon
problem, yeah,
signal.
no, it's great. That's a great idea.
Steve,
I'm all set. Thank you.
yep, Mark, 15.
Half inch.
11.5. I'll make a motion for our standard seeker. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jim,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes,
Mary,
Yes,
Zach?
Yes.
I vote yes on the seeker. It passes. Neil, would you propose a motion for approval, please?
Yeah, application, bank, 865 Wood Mill, 3,000 square foot bank building, which approval on the bottom one. The color schemes, rendering, and or elevations is presented by the applicant to the planning board and regard to this application shall be incorporated by reference into the site plan and the board approval thereof. Accordingly, the actual project is substantially conform to the items.
Would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
second,
Jim,
Yes.
Chuck,
yes.
Mary,
yes.
Zach?
Yes.
And I vote yes. You're all set. Good luck. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is sketch plan review. This is for a D&B Remodeling Incorporated for the property at 9385 Brewerton Road. Applicant here, please come on up. Good evening.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you? Can you introduce yourselves?
Yes, I'm Dave Beck. This is Tammy, my office man.
Hi there. Go through a little presentation of what you're looking to do.
Yes, we're just looking to open up office space at this location. It used to be formerly an automotive garage. So we're just basically want to open it up for offices to conduct business, general offices for my construction company.
All right. Anything additional?
Storage.
Yeah, so
Sure.
there's basically, we're not doing any work there, just basically offices and store materials there, stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm a little new at this, so.
That's fine. No issues. Jim, question? Any questions?
No, I'm good.
Chuck?
Whereabouts is this located, really?
Right on the corner of Route 11 and O'Mare, 9385 Brewerton Road.
Where's O'Mara?
It's a side street. It's the second, the first side street after Mudville. North-
Oh, okay.
northbound.
I wasn't sure about the address where it fell.
Vacant for many
Yeah, it's been
years.
vacant for quite a
Yeah.
while.
Well, it'd be good to see things brought up to snuff.
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, looks like you've been doing a lot of outdoor work.
Yes, busy season, so.
Thank you.
Mary?
So can we ask more questions about the detail?
Absolutely.
So I noticed it was on the corner of Burton Road and O'Mara Drive. So
Yes.
where will your entrance be? Will it be?
There's already an entrance there that, there's an entrance on both O'Mare and, to Route 11. It'll be the same entrance,
The same? Okay.
the same two entrances. In fact, in our, plan there, we're actually cutting down the O'Mare entrance a little bit smaller. The engineer, recommended that, which I think makes sense.
Okay, and so, I noticed in your design, is there gonna be any overhang over your front door at all?
There's currently no overhang over it now. I didn't plan on doing that. I'm concerned about the regulations and how it would look if you put a little overhang over the door. You know what I mean? As far as one thing that we did plan on doing in the front that's not indicated in the initial drawing is we do plan on putting some stone on the front to dress it up a little bit.
Okay, and so I didn't see where the building materials were noted on here.
Basically, it is, I believe it is noted in there somewhere. I'm new at this, so I'm not
Okay.
very good at reading that, but basically, we were gonna use conventional steel like what's there, and then we were gonna dress up the front so that the front had a kind of a lower and a middle and a top. So
We actually brought a sample.
we brought samples, basically just stone on the lower portions, like the 1/3, and then the regular steel, and then outline the gable area, just so that it looks a little dressed.
So you brought samples today? Yeah, please.
So you reciting the entire building?
That is the plan, yes.
Good.
Yes, definitely needs it.
What is it right now? Just white? Is it still white?
It's just white steel now, but it's kind of beat up pretty, it's an old
Pretty
building.
good, yeah.
So it's beat up, so I was gonna do, obviously with the town's approval, I was gonna do the new color scheme, like a dark gray and then a black trim.
So gray, black, and the stone.
And well, the stone, again, that's just a sample of what the product is. I was gonna try to go with a darker stone that looks
Okay.
more black,
Okay.
but I don't know, I don't know what I'm allowed to do or not do, so.
Do the plans reflect that? Mark, do you have the elevations?
He didn't indicate in the drawing
I didn't think so.
the detail on the stonework.
Yeah, he didn't.
So we're gonna want that.
And
Yeah, I will
color.
have that ready for the next meeting. I tried to get it ready.
Right, and colors.
Yes, I didn't know the
Of
depth
that.
of this. Like I said, as a move, but I didn't know the depth of that, but I will definitely have that.
I also noticed
Okay.
the size of the papers they were using. Would you prefer those?
The smaller size,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
That's it. Because we only have so much
I
room.
thought, I mean, I
Yeah.
saw that after, but
Thank you.
All set? Zach?
You're talking about the dark stone. I like it. You're talking about the black trim. I like it. Because when I drove by, this building would look sharp black.
Yes,
Some people are for it, some people, but that's up to you.
okay,
But I think your color schemes would look nice, maybe a little landscaping.
yes, and
But yeah.
there's landscaping and some, green portions on the print as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm just, my big concern is I don't know, to be honest with you, what's allowable, what's not allowable, so, I guess I'll put my ideas into play and then see how you guys approve of them.
Have you gotten a copy of our architectural standards in landscape?
I don't actually, but I would like to get one.
You're gonna wanna get those. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I'm all set. I think it'll, yeah.
So you're talking about 3 or 4 employees, right?
Yes,
Why 16 parking spots?
that's what he drew up. I don't know, to be honest with you.
I think they did it because that's what was basically.
I mean, basically, the
Besides
parking
the
lot's
park.
already there, so we're not really altering the parking lot.
Mark, can you go back to elevation, please? I'm sorry, not the elevation, the layout. Keep doing that.
Are you keeping any equipment there?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we keep some tools there, like inside the garage area that's gonna basically remain a garage, like maybe saws or something like that, but no heavy equipment or machinery sort of.
Trucks or heavy equipment? Okay.
So when I went to the site, this, this area all in here is poorly stoned grass.
Yes, I plan on fixing that.
If you're not gonna need it for parking, you should just make it grass.
Well, the problem is there's, if you see this side at the building, there's garage doors. So there's like 3 garage doors.
Right here,
Yes, there's a door there, there's
Yeah.
another,
but not here.
yes, there.
There is?
I think there's one there, right?
On Route 11, there's one,
Yeah.
but on the long side, opposite the Omer side, there's 3. 3 overhead doors, so for storage and stuff, so and it's already paved, so I just had assumed. that we
So-
would pave.
What's there now isn't acceptable.
I mean,
The condition of the pavement, pretty much everywhere.
No, I totally agree with that.
Right.
I planned on repairing that. I'm just saying the pavement, the areas that are paved poorly at this point, but them areas I planned on just bringing back up to snow.
All right, the plan says existing.
No, well, I think that's indicating that that's where the existing pavement is. I don't know why he did the square there, because probably because that's where you can basically, if you walk the property, you can tell that there's pavement there. All this other area where these spots are indicated, it kind of used to be pavement, but it's further deteriorated. So where there's grass growing and stuff. But at one time, I believe it was all paved.
And it's wonderful to have you coming in here and fixing it up, and it needs it, but it's one, so we'll need plans that reflect what's gonna happen, right?
Okay.
There's a couple of notes here, Mark, but these, I tried to get better quality PDFs from this, and they're still a little shaky, but I don't know what this note says. This area is hashed out, right? So this might say that would be new pavement, I don't know. But it is something needs to be clarified, and
It'd be indicated on the print itself, but. It's probably, sorry, it's interrupted, probably is indicated on the print. You can hopefully tell what that
Yeah,
says.
so this says existing gravel drive parking area.
so they're not planning to repair that, which you may, it should, they would.
Yeah, and like up on top, go to the top part. The road entry, this landscape area, it says existing low shrub, maintain lawn area. It's not. There's no shrubbery there. There's,
No, it's just overgrown weeds and grass.
yeah.
But as indicated, we're gonna put some plants there now.
Yeah, my point is, it says existing, it's not. So it was confusing.
Oh, it's not? I know there's a section there that's overgrown weeds and grass. I don't know the distinction.
And there's a big pot with some weeds growing out of it.
Well, yeah, there's an old pot on the sides, but there's right near the road, there's an actual little area that's like mounded up, but it's just, looks like at one point it was landscaping, but now it's just, it grows tall weeds and grass that I knock down sometimes.
And then the south side says existing, there's no landscaping there whatsoever, but it says,
On the Omer side, there is not. There's a patch of grass in between the road.
same on the other side. Same on the other side, there's no landscaping. Says existing low shrubs, maintained lawn area. And maybe they meant what you're gonna have,
Yeah.
but it's not
Yeah.
existing.
Yeah, no, there's basically nothing good in this.
I think I can clarify this sometime, I understand what you're getting at. They need to more clearly delineate what the final proposed condition is.
Right.
And show landscaping with species and quantity, et cetera.
Yeah,
I think I understand what you're trying to do.
all right.
Don't say existing, say.
Proposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
And then along Amera Drive, it looked like some of that, along the building, it looks like some of it was used for parking. That should probably go away.
Some of it.
This area here,
Yes.
put grass in and get rid of the paved area that looks like parking.
Well, again, there's on the other side, and I planned on doing that, eliminating a lot of that, but there's two overhead doors on the Omer side as well. So
Yeah.
two.
Right.
So it's like a door on the buildings here. There's two on this side, on the south side and the north side.
Yeah, I understand. So I'm not talking about getting rid of this entrance. I'm talking about along the building here.
Yeah.
If you did, if Mark did a street view, you'd see what I was saying. Please. You can actually go down Amera.
And you're gonna keep all the doors? It sounds like there's a lot of doors.
Well, there's two doors on one side and two doors on the other, so, I thought I would leave them. I think it would be, it would work well for me, as long as it's allowable. I think that's, So yeah, that I wanted to get rid of. I basically would rather do some sort of landscaping there, and that's what I thought he indicated on there, as opposed to the path, grassy. Get rid of all the grass, it would just be the road, some sort of landscaping to the building.
Yeah, it does look like he's showing that. The Mark, if you can go to the back a little bit. This tree's gone, which is good.
Yep.
The stump's sitting here.
Plan on getting rid of it, yep.
What about the old car wash in back? Are you?
Well,
incorporating
that used to be the car wash, hence the number of doors, right?
Right.
So it's just covered storage, so
You're gonna keep that.
Plan on just keeping, obviously cleaning everything up, getting rid of all the overgrownness, but have that normal, doors on both sides.
It's been sitting there unused for quite a
But-
long time.
Yes.
I think we're seeing eye to eye on a lot of things. It just needs to be reduced to
Yeah.
paper.
Yes.
Great. Mike,
Yeah, we're good.
you're good? Steve?
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send for now. We'll get comments.
Mark will get a review letter out to you.
Okay, so specifically, just to reiterate, we're gonna, tighten up the plans on exactly what we're doing for landscaping in the front. We're gonna get a color rendering for exactly what we're doing on the front of the building.
All sides.
All sides of the building, exactly. And so far, is there any other recommendations to submit to you immediately?
I would sit tight until you get Mark's written review
Okay,
and we'll take it from there.
okay,
And
Then you
clarify
can-
things on the plans.
You can have dialogue with Mark if there's any questions.
okay, sounds good.
Perfect. We're all set?
Adam was supposed to send over a new PDF.
Yeah.
Send it out. Send it out, and he had a cop, so I couldn't do anything with it.
They're good enough for me to review.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
And they need the design standards.
Yeah, I will forward this. We talked, I don't know, a while ago. I don't remember if we sent it with the application first, but I'll send it to you. And you can send it to Adam, or I can send it directly to Adam.
Yeah, no problem. If you could CC us in it. if you
Yep.
send it to him.
Yep.
All right, sounds good.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Under board discussion, we have guests here that are going to make a presentation. Our Cicero fire chiefs are here to talk about additional fire protection in attic spaces of new construction and then lithium batteries. So gentlemen, welcome. Good to see you here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing you as well. Be seeing you Saturday, right?
Yes. That's no sir.
Oh, no, sorry.
Sure.
Have one.
Probably.
How are you?
Actually,
I'll show you if you, this, yeah, here. Here, you can actually-
Oh, take that one.
There you go.
thank you.
So I'll open up. My name is Jim Brennan, I'm the chief of the Cicero Fire Department.
I'm Pat Brennan, the fire chief of North Syracuse Fire.
Bridgeport Fire Department. We're listed Bridgeport or Burton and South Bay. So every month, town of Cicero Fire Chiefs, we have a meeting every month. We've actually opened it up this year more to, town codes also attends, supervisor attends, and Mark attended the last one, and we've also now included them on each and every month's meeting. What we're gonna talk about, basically what we talked about is recent alarms, because we're all on the same alarm together. Any issues with like water, hydrant, or anything in construction. Currently, the one that's been on our agenda probably now for over a year is the Highgate construction. So we talk about this stuff each month. Some other stuff we've been bringing up is fire resistant construction to help us, and we'll go through all this. And then the new thing that's out there for all of us, and we're all learning still, is lithium batteries. And the dangers that are coming with this. And basically what we wanna do tonight is present this stuff to you guys to try to open up a working relationship for new construction coming in. We've been talking with Steve for the last few months. We know we can't change state fire code without jumping through what a million hoops. So Mark, in our last meeting, we discussed with him maybe ways to open up to work with you guys to help us. Heidi sends us all your prints beforehand that we review. Maybe if we come up after we present it, if the chiefs all get together, we come up with a list of stuff that we'd like to see in new construction that we could give the contractor, which will really probably cover most of this. And then he could follow that, and when we redo it, make sure everything's in there too. I know you probably can't hold them to what we asked for. I don't know how law-wise, what they can change, what we can put in place without the state approval. It'd be great if we could set our own laws for some of this.
It would be.
But we're gonna just go through it pretty quick. This is really an informational thing. You have the whole packet there in front of you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But the first one is fire resistant construction. And basically what the concern is with us, if we change pages. This fire resistant construction is the newer construction going in. We're finding that the attic spaces, which are above the third floor living space, are wide open. In some recent history, you'll see some of the pictures from around the county, and the fire starts on the outside, gets up there, takes off well before anybody is aware of it, even the occupants below. We've been lucky in this county that we haven't had fatalities from this, but it's gonna come. And the concern in our area is that over the last couple of years, we're seeing a lot of apartment complexes being built. And all of these are pretty much the same pattern, same layout. It's all open space up and above. So what we're looking for is really some fire resistant construction involved. A protection passive means use of walls, and floor constructed of fire resistant materials, opening protections and penetrations. Fire resistant walls can be classified in 3 different types. We got fire walls, fire barrier, and fire partition. Each needs to have increasing level of protection. And this is, we went through and explained what each one was. This is the firewall lids. The next one is fire barrier. And then fire partition. If we go to the next slide, this is different examples of each. And basically what we're looking for, to really start to really come in place and put in place is stuff is up here in the top part. And we'll see better in some of the fires that I showed pictures of. Up in here, we're seeing a lot of the newer construction about it's all open. So once the fire gets up there, it just takes off across all the occupants that are living down below. Okay, but some of the firewalls we'd like to see is that right there. So it's above the last living space, the last living floor, but it continues up to the ceiling. And it's not just wide open above. This is some fire resistant ratings. Basically, it's drywall. Different types of drywall that they can install. Not real expensive for the contractor. The big thing, when Holiday Inn was built, when we were watching that and going through and reviewing that and going through, when they cut holes up through there to run wiring, they cut right through the firewall, which is okay as long as they put this protectant around it so that there's no gaps, because fire and smoke will travel through any gap that's left open in these firewall. And here's some recent history. So you can see Manly as well as doing clay. All of them pretty similar styles. And all the fire got up in this ceiling and just up to the roof here, just took off across with all 3 of these floors full of occupants. Okay, they didn't know this because there was no alarm systems up there. They only found out when the smoke or the fire traveled below the attic space and got into the living space. Similar bills, similar results. Like I said, no fire blocks or firewalls in the attic space. There were no sprinklers, no smoke detectors in the attic space. Fire starts outside, travels up to the roof line and across the attic. Residents didn't know there was a fire above them. Fire was well advanced before the fire departments arrived. Roof collapsed shortly after the fire departments arrived. Complete loss of the top floor, and then of course heavy smoke, fire, and water damage. Some safety concerns. The empty attic space allows the fire to travel and increase the size, place the occupants below in danger. Installed fire alarms and fire stops will slow the fire growth, reducing danger to residents. So really what we've been discussing, and if we can get in place, is simple firewalls from the top level of the living space to the ceilings, about splitting each apartment up, and then smoke detectors or fire detectors up in the ceiling, heat detectors that are hardwired to the occupants' fire alarms below. So if that fire alarm trips in the attic, the occupants below know there's a fireman building in their leaving as well. Because those pictures you saw before, that did not happen. Fire got up there, took off. Nobody below that knew it was happening until too late when it came down. And then of course, you can go back real quick, I'm sorry. And then of course, our safety. Slow down the fire spread, increases time for us to searches and evacuations. that helps reduce the roof collapse and trusses burden. Why do we need firewalls and smoke detectors? Eliminate the open space. Fire petitions will slow things down, slow the fire down. Hardware smoke detectors installed will inform the residents living down below, and of course, slowing down the fire spread. Oh, back up. Oh, down one. So this was our fire recently over in Cicero Estates, and the next picture I will show you the whole complex, but right there was the firewall. So these 4 apartments all got destroyed. That firewall stopped it from spreading into that building. And you can see right there is the wall that stopped it from coming into this apartment. That was installed all the way up to the top of the roof. So if you go to the next slide, that's the total picture of the building. These ones were totally destroyed. That firewall stopped it from hitting those buildings. That's what a firewall will help us do, slow things down. But we would like to see them breaking up every apartment up above, not just every 4th one. Some type, either if it's not every other one, something to slow that down. The proposal, we'd like to work with you guys and work with town codes and the town to come up with for all new construction is, require a fire partition wall be installed from the ceiling of the top floor up to the roof line, separating and limiting open space. The construction materials in the fire partition wall must meet a minimum of 1 hour fire resistance. Any penetration through the firewall for cables, pipes, wiring, or any other materials must be sealed with a fire stop sealant. And then all construction of townhomes require firewalls to be installed in between residents to prevent fire. Oops. Then all large open attic spaces have smoke detectors installed that are hardwired and tied into the fire alarms in the occupied space. Financial effect, yes, it'll cost the contractor a little bit more money, but it's drywall material and smoke detectors being hardwired. He's gonna have plenty of that on their construction site. It's not like he's going out and spending hundreds of $1,000s more money too. It's a couple thousand more, if that. So before we get into lithium batteries, any questions on any of this? Chiefs, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, the whole purpose of this is just not just an isolated incident here in Cicero. This is, as the chief said, it's all over the county. And so the key or the main factor is early warning. And so by having a detection system up there, and it's not like we're not proposing smoke detector, we're probably talking something like a heat detector or something of that nature, so that the impact would be minimal to the contractor out there. But again, it is the early warning would really save and help us all out there, along with, in conjunction with the fire stops and the partition up there. And it's like the chief says that, listen, they're already building up there and just adding on. So this is where codes will help us, as they're making up and making penetrations through, because unfortunately, when we do go on some of these alarms, we see that where the fire penetrations have been violated, and that's where really Steve and his team comes in and helps us, out there. So it's just.
Seems like common sense stuff.
Well, we agree with you. And again, so like we said, Steve helped us. We did a little research on this, that we really can't change. We can't exceed what New York State, is out there in the Uniform Fire Prevention Code. But what we are asking for you folks is to consider that, to, like we said, we'll come up with a checklist so you guys can use as a guide. And we will be more proactive as far as we're helping you folks there when a particular project comes into the town, that we can say, hey, listen, Marco, we have a good relationship with you to say, hey, here's our checklist. Here's what we need to be paying attention to. So that's it for that.
Has this started somewhere else first? I mean, or are you guys the first ones to come up with
I think
it?
we're the first ones to start pushing hard.
Throughout the whole state you're talking about, or?
I don't know about the state, but at least in our town. We're just trying to.
Like a town group, I don't know of too many others that are pushing. Everyone's talking about it, but
And no one's done it.
once they start talking about state fire code, it kind of stops.
So you could be setting the precedent, which would be a good thing.
And you could be with us.
There you go.
Mark, can I say something? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sprinklers are not, they are right now mandatory in all of the apartments.
I don't believe they're mandatory for.
Oh, sure they are. Pardon me?
It's about size and
No, no.
square footage.
Well, so, yeah, the code, the first thing you gotta know is the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention Building Code is a minimum standard. So it's the minimum safety requirements that the state put out. A builder or developer can always go above and beyond. Not many of them do, and obviously because of the expense.
Can the town require it?
Well, that's a question that I don't want, I don't think you can require anything. In order to get more restrictive local standard, you have to demonstrate to the Department of State that you have some circumstances in your community that you would need them. And you have to, you have to make a request and get those put into your, approved by the state and put into your local law. And we talked about this a little bit, and I think that might be difficult to achieve, and the board would have to tell them, because you're making a local law, it's more restrictive than the state standard.
Can the town board recommend to the applicant when they're going through process? I mean, planning board.
So the building code works this way. To answer Judy's question, all buildings are limited in size based on their type of construction, their occupancy, and then you're allowed increases based on fire protection to the building, like sprinklers, access. Okay, so the era of those buildings that were constructed, I don't know.
Sprinkler systems aren't required in the attic.
Not in the attic space. Now, she's saying, but they're required to be, they're only required in the attic space if they're being used for storage or they're gonna be occupied in some way. And our recent apartment constructions are not only they're fire resistant on the outside, they're 1 hour fire resistant on the exterior. Some of the buildings you see do have firewalls between halves, because they're getting a larger square area, so they have to reduce the fire area. They're fully sprinklered. Every unit has 1 hour fire separation. They're boxes. Hallways are 2 hours. Plus the sprinklers. Not above. What's above is smoke barriers or draft stopping every 3,000 square feet or 2 units, whichever is less. So usually every 2 units, you're going to see on the side of a truss, plywood or drywall with a plywood door with a spring on it. So that's kind of standard what you get. Over every unit, you're never gonna, I mean, a fire barrier, yeah, I mean, I'm saying that you're not gonna, that's the code, I don't see anywhere in the code that'd be required in any circumstance. Yeah, right,
That's why.
right. Yeah.
Team up. and
Yeah.
figure out what we can do.
Yeah.
You said the town board can they recommend it.
Question, can they have a local law? Make a local law? Yes,
They can.
we make local laws on this.
But the local law that we more restricted has to, because it's more restrictive than the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention Code, has to be approved by the Department of State. So you have to make an application and demonstrate why you need something that is more restrictive.
Have you guys been to the Association of Builders? I think would be something that we probably should approach. I'm a building one of those. And, you're opening my eyes up to questions.
I mean, when we sat with Steve throughout the event, so they month in New York, but once it was told from the King law, 3 months, then when Mark came and said, look, some can we team up? And I guess what we're asking is when contractor comes to propose the building, we provide a list and say, this is what the fire department want. I guess we can't hold them and say you have to do it, but highly recommend it that you put these in.
You can highly recommend that.
It's basic safety.
Yeah.
So,
And it's not really not a ton of money to hire that, but,
no,
I mean, when we meet with them, a lot of them are pretty aggressive with us, they're not aggressive with. out front of
Cooperative,
us.
yeah.
Yeah, and we tell them, hey, this is what we want, this is what you gotta do, in most cases, they work with us. Unless it gets too expensive.
Yeah.
We make them make changes, gonna charge a lot of money, then they get kind of pushed.
Yeah, I think I find the developers being super cooperative when it comes to, hey, you need a hydrant, but it works best for us here. The fire department actually works great here, the rapid entry box, here. When it gets to, because those are code requirements. Yeah.
Mark, did you have a question?
So Chief, how about what we tie in the hydrants with this before we get into lithium ion batteries? So the second half of this, and I don't have it up on a PowerPoint, but I printed this. So we have talking about, we're trying to standardize, I'm talking about town of Cicero, with the 5 fire departments associated with the town of Cicero. So one of the things that we did and we are now utilizing our fire department hose is we're pretty much universal now, that whether it be North Syracuse, Cicero, Bridgeport, South Bay, Burton, we all have this 4-inch hose, and it's got what we call storage connections on it. We used to have, because our water distribution system was, I'll say, very poor out here in the county. Well, Aqua has really made some big enhancements over the years. So our water distribution system is good. So we're no longer using a appliance that goes on the front of the steamer connection there. So one of the things, I'll say, South Bay took it upon themselves to start this project. And I know the Mattydale Fire Department, they went out and got grants for this. And what this is this is a picture of a hydrant. So on the front of the hydrant, there is a big adapter. It's a 4.5-inch connection, and on the 2 sides are 2.5. So that's a standard fire hydrant that's out there. And so what we're looking at is to have a 4-inch storage installed on the front of the hydrant. So what we're asking for is when someone comes in and presents, we've talked to Steve about this, and that's why we want to make this presentation to you folks, is that we're going to ask, when someone has to install a hydrant, that we ask that they have to purchase one of these storage adapters on here. Now, I will just tell you that we are working with Senator Ryan and also with Assemblyman Sturpey. We're looking for a grant. Currently, I'll just say in the North Syracuse Fire District, we have about 560 fire hydrants. Cicero has, I'm going to say, probably about 500, out there. So that is just a huge expense for us to just go out and replace them out there. So what we've done is we went out to a local vendor, in this particular case, where most fire departments go to up at Jerome Fire Equipment. We're not saying that they have to buy this at Jerome's. We're not, but Jerome's kind of put a package together for us, is with this particular adapter. And we've already talked with Aqua, that Aqua would allow this to be put on the front of the fire hydrant there. So that's where this piece of this appliance would go on there. And then the other enhancement that they have, if you ever drive down 311 in the village of North Syracuse, probably the easiest, you'll start to see on fire hydrant, there's a blue reflector. Or actually up in the North Syracuse Fire District in the town of Cicero, you will see, if you look at a fire hydrant, it's got a blue ring on it. And that puts up, the other half is on in here as far as a hydrant marker. So what we did is we as collectively as the Cicero Fire Chiefs, we said, hey, this is going to be our standard that we're out there. So everybody is going to be able to connect onto the fire hydrant, and then along with having a hydrant marker. So this hydrant marker comes when it's dark, no street lights, things like that. These things stand out like a sore thumb. So it's really very, very nice. So really, again, what we're saying before is like with the checklist that we'll generate is say, hey, listen, we would like, and there's lighting on where the connection is up there. So that's one of the we'd like to see as far as with some fire safety enhancements out there with the fire hydrants and the town for new construction. So whenever someone comes, again, they're talking about, I think, $200, to make that modification on that. So we're not asking businesses to go out and modify that out there with their currentness. We're going to run parallel paths and see if we can get some grant money out there to see if we can start this project. But it's a very big project, but we figured, hey, let's start it with new construction, because we know that there's a lot coming out.
So when you run a call now, there's times when you have to pull an adapter out of the truck and
Yes, right now, anytime that we have a hydrant bag, we all have hydrant bags. So what we have to do is this would just save time right now. If we go to a fire hydrant, and I'll just use South Bay as the example. We go into the South Bay Fire District, we don't have to put any adapters on. We get connect it directly to the hydrant, turn it on, we're done. Now we'd have to currently screw on an adapter to put on there, and then put the fire hose to that, and then turn on the fire hydrant. It's all about being efficient.
Look at your hydrants. Remember, a hydrant looks like there's a big steamer cap on the very front of it. We can take that off, screw the hydrant adapter on, and then the hose. Then we gotta take the side here off to make sure there's no rock in it.
meanwhile the fire is growing.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's about being more efficient. That's all. And it really boils down to just public safety.
Steve, do you know if we have the authority to require this?
We, I mean, again, you could request it. I don't think we have anything written. There's nothing in local law that would require, that might be a little more. And I would obviously consult with our attorneys. That might be something that you necessarily would not have to go to the state on if you want to pass local law.
You said what, it's like $200 to upgrade that or whatever?
Yeah, I think I forgot what the price was. I just, well, actually. what would it be?
Right.
It was, yeah, $285 for the adapter to go onto the hydrant. And then there's $20 for the hydrant marker.
Mark, do you know if this is something?
Well, really something that you were said and thought with John. It's a good, we already, yeah, so I mean, the only time. Well. We've had many instances over, recently of fire hydrants being added to the site plan.
Yes.
Because, provide appropriate coverage of that's about the only time the planning board sees these things.
And typically at the request of the fire departments.
Yeah. And once it's on the site plan, they have to coordinate with Aqua to get that fire hydrant installed. So it's really getting to Aqua and seeing that when it's installed, that component gets put on the hydrant. The only way I can think of, and if that's not part of their standard, what they're saying is they're allowing you to take that, the cover off, the nozzle cover, right? And replace it with the storage connection. I mean, I suppose we could, as part of site plan approval, say.
We could use a suggestion.
Yeah.
So in other words, part of the thing, we approve fire hydrants, we say, and we suggest you, what?
Actually, here's one of our challenges that you may or may not know, especially happening up here, and I don't want to speak too cheap, but I'll talk about horror stories that you guys are experiencing on Route 11 or 31 right now. So different projects have, in this case, we're talking about New York State. They have different vendors. They don't get their hydrants from Aqua. They buy them from somebody else. So not all contractors are getting their fire hydrants from Aqua. And so the conversation that we had with Aqua is basically that they are okay with that being added to the hydrant, but we're experiencing some big difficulties on some big construction projects, and especially in this case with New York State, some of the vendors that they're using starts pulling fire hydrants in by supplying the wrong red pitch on it, the wrong colors on the hydrants, and that type of stuff. So those are some of I'll just say some of the horror stories that we've been dealing with, or in this case, the Cicero Fire Department been dealing with, with fire hydrants, with different vendors. But that's all, I don't want to get off topic, but that is all some of the challenges that we're dealing with out there. But as an example, like on the airbase one, we put this big tire storage and they put 2 fire hydrants in over there for Dunn Tire up there a couple of years back. And we had some challenges. We, had to get Steve engaged that we found that the hydrants were the wrong fire hydrants, and we found it, thank goodness, before they were going into the ground. We just happened to be driving by and we went and checked them and found that. So it's just a challenge. And you're right. We can't, but when the board says, hey, the fire department needs this, when you're looking at a $2, $3, $4, $5 million project, when you look at it, what's $285?
Nothing.
It's to put that in there, but again, sometimes the recommendations is enough. And that's all we're asking for is just, hey, if we can get some is better than none. And it's just we just need to start someplace. So that's why we're coming to you folks first.
Yeah, I understand. And I don't mind recommending. I like when I can say you must, especially for something like this, but I mean, we can work through that.
Right. So anyways, now I'm sorry we just wanted to tie the fire site in together. Now we're going to talk more.
So real quick on lithium batteries, this is new to everyone, including us. So when businesses switch over to lithium, I'll say forklift trucks, do they come to you guys first?
When they switch over to, no.
They can just do it themselves?
What, yeah, I mean,
So
well,
there's-
a
that's
lot
like
of things
saying-
happen that they might, like what happened up at Pepsi, they probably should have come to see us. That's right, we told them what they did up there, because if there was electrical work involved, they wouldn't need a permit for it. Yeah,
We're just gonna go through this real quick, and you guys got the packet so you can read them on your own. But this is a big safety concern of ours, and Chief Burns had more fires dealt with this than we have, and I know Brewington had a big one in Central Square. Started by lithium batteries and when they're being charged, but basically, what we're talking about is coming up with some type of uses and storage. And I'd like to say law, but policy, something in the town. So basically, lithium batteries, as everyone knows, if you don't know, they're used in many devices now, electronic, baby, cell phones, laptops, tablets, power banks, vehicles, the e-bikes we're seeing all over the place. Cordless power tools are huge now in the law, grid scale energy storage and solar power packs. The next two frames are pretty much just some stuff that you're seeing these in now. Pepsi just switched over to these in their forklifts. These are some of the batteries that you're seeing in these. So some concerns we have is the lithium batteries are damaged or improperly handled, improperly charged, or have design defects and can be dangerous. This includes the lithium ion batteries, lithium metal batteries, and non-rechargeable lithium batteries. Chargers overloading plug outlets or chargers plugged into power strips. Overcharged batteries or leave the batteries charged overnight, and charging batteries near your bed, couch, or under your pillow. And Chief Brennan, when we, I think, can talk to you about a couple instances they had with their batteries being charged properly. And then, of course, the big concern is the improper disposal of these batteries. And I don't know how many of you remember about this, about 2 months ago, Central Square had a huge fire. And basically, it was improper disposal of big lithium batteries. And the only way they could put these out after they put it out with water, but these batteries will rekindle. And they had to bring in dumpsters, load the batteries in, cover them with sand, put another layer on, cover that with sand. I think they went to 3 layers of this, and they put it in a metal container so they wouldn't rekindle. Some dangers with these: thermal runaway, lithium batteries can overheat, violently burst, fire spread when ignited, toxic gases, molten metal. The proper storage. Facts about lithium battery storage. There's no universal standard for lithium battery storage. NFPA has yet to establish defined requirements. That's the issue we're all have. This is all brand new to everybody. There are some discussions that there is a plant coming in at the old dump in off of 7th North Street, where they can take these batteries, but that has not yet confirmed that I've been told. That is in talks of one of them coming in. Lithium and water don't mix. Typically, you don't find a lithium battery, you contain it and let it burn out. There's stories going all over the place. There's some pictures on the internet, and there's some articles that we read, especially with the electric cars. We can put them out. They pretty much told us it takes us 3 engines to put the fire out and then hold it and cool it down. Because if you don't, they'll put them on the back of flatbeds when they're traveling, they'll take them to the yard, they'll rekindle on the truck. And then discarding the lithium batteries can start a fire. Individually wrapped discarded batteries so that they do not touch each other. Why do lithium batteries need to be disposed of? If they're discarded incorrectly, they release toxic chemicals into the environment, and then thermal runaway. Fire extinguishing of a lithium battery. Professional results, dousing a lithium ion fire, use of foam extinguisher, CO2, ABC dry chemical, powdered graphite, copper powder, sodium carbonate, as you would extinguish other combustible fires. This is the proposal we'd like to somehow get put in place. Charging stations in one location away from the production area. Pepsi just, as I said, they just switched over, I believe, was 5 trucks that they are currently running in the plant. They called us over to give us advice. One of the things, as soon as we walked in, is the charging stations were right in the middle of the production floor. Every single one of them was right in the middle of the production floor, right next to them was the production area. We asked them if they could move to one location. Currently, they're not set up to do that. Long term, when they get rid of the other trucks and the other batteries, they're gonna switch to doing that location, which is away from the production area. Company policy development how to dispose of bad batteries. They didn't have that in place yet. They're putting that together. Signage in the facility identifying charging stations. That was in place, so we asked for that to be done. Matter of fact, the first one that we brought in, they showed us where it was, the sign above it said gas line through the door, so it's right next to their gas. And then company contracted policy with a hazmat recycling company, that they do have. There's a company in Lakeland that even the city of Syracuse contracts with, so when you see those e-bikes die or catch on fire, they come and pick them up and recycle for them, but it's not cheap. So when I called them, asked them about recycling, they said, first they go, we'll do anything, we'll recycle for anybody, but someone's paying. So, get a homeowner to pay for this, is never gonna happen. So, if whereas for the business puts these in place, it comes to you guys in front of you, put this stuff in place, then maybe we can get this in place where they, okay, you can put these in, but you gotta have these policies in place as well. And these are just some couple of policies for charging batteries. And then some guidelines. So these are the things we've been taking, we took right on from some websites that come from Fire Service, that we've been reading up on. So again, this is all new to us, but this is coming hot and heavy. It's already in your house, everyone sees, we all have them anyway. We don't have cell phones, we all have these tools that we're charging. We got the cars now, these bikes are all over the streets, so you see them there. But the big thing is businesses are now gonna go to batteries for everything and get rid of all this other stuff. And somehow we want to get ahead of this some way, that there's policy, there's procedures, there's something in place. But I don't know how we do that if they don't have to come in front of you first, if they just switch over.
Well, I think I shared with you guys, if nothing has changed, there are gonna be additions to the uniform code relative. I don't think it's addressing everything that you brought up here, particularly the disposal. I don't remember seeing much about that in there. So that's gonna be helpful based on fire code requirements, et cetera. So again, we're talking about if there's something we need, because they can see a site plan and they might not have any of these things proposed. And then later they switch over like Pepsi. So there's gonna be something that's gonna have to trigger that, whether it be uniform fire prevention code or a local law. And again, I think we're in the same area. If we're gonna have something more restrictive than the state, then we may have to, make application. But there might be some other things relative to, and I'm more generalizing. And again, we think we might have to consult the town attorney, because we did, as you know, pass a battery energy storage system local out relative to their siting location, zoning, and that did have some components were based on safety. Perhaps something could be added into that, talking about policies for management and storage, maybe not specific, but generalized. So
Even educating how to fight this. Someone sees a fire, what do? They put water on it. Well, you're telling me that that's like the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
So there's no educating person who can go out to these companies who have lithium batteries and at least say, hey, if there's a fire that's a battery, we can't put water on it because it's just gonna.
That's, you got proactive to call them, but like I say proactive, but they're already installed before we got there. So they just says, well, what would you like to see? And then pointed out everything we don't want. So they are gonna move them around. It's just a matter of when if you don't know, they're under a big construction plan. So when that all goes in place, it's often moved around, but meanwhile, they're in place. As a matter of fact, the plug for some of these battery chargers were sitting under or above the automatic shut off, emergency shut off. So they're all tied together. They weren't even away from them. So.
Yeah, so a couple of things where I've been very engaged with New York City Fire Department, because if you just check out the internet, they've had the most fatalities down there with lithium ion battery fires with people just charging them, whether it be scooters or putting them in residential areas. So we're very, very concerned about it, but this is a big global issue that we have going on. New York State is behind the curve, and the fire service is even further behind that. I'll equate the lithium ion batteries to what used to be hazardous materials in the 70s and the 80s. Now we are very versed and good with hazardous material incidents. Now we're playing catch up because this is all new technology and it is ever so changing. But there's a couple things that we have out there that I'll just say that we're very focused on. I'll just say it within and we talk about amongst in our groups here with ventilation and buildings. As an example, we have quite a bit of construction. I use that new 5-star building over here in Airport Plaza that was over off the East Cap Road. we went there multiple times because there was never any ventilation when they were charging the fork trucks. These are just, typical lead acid batteries that they're using. You get a call at 2 in the morning that their carbon monoxide detector is going off. And really what happens is it's not carbon monoxide, but what it is that the off-gassing of the chargers with, in this case, the lead acid is hydrogen. Hydrogen, it will trick the carbon monoxide, think that it's seeing carbon monoxide, but really it's seeing hydrogen. And you have to have a special meter to do that. So we worked with them, for these folks, and they did put ventilation in there. We addressed it, but there's only multiple companies. So we talk about fighting a fire. So we are very engaged with the solar farm that we have at Northern Boulevard in Island Road. Their response plan is if something happens over there, they want us on the outside of the fence. They say, let it burn. Because if anybody remembers about 3-4 years ago, what happened up in Shimo Bay, they had a big solar farm fire. And someone went in and started putting water on it. And the amount of pollution that they put out there is just, it's devastating what it did up there in that area. Besides this, so this is real out here, and we are all engaged with this now, especially when Steve hears something going on, he lets us know. But I just wanted, it's more of an educational piece for you folks too, that the same thing with charging stations. As an example, over on the air base, we have, it is, the stamp company up there that makes, labels.
Syracuse label.
Syracuse label. They have a charging station outside their front door for EV vehicles. Well, somebody backed into it. I just happened to go over there to do an inspection, and I say, hey, where's your shut off? Where's your breaker for this? Where you shut off?
None.
Nobody could tell me where it was. So if there's truly an emergency, so that's where we gotta make sure that when there's gotta be an electrical disconnect. So if something's outside, we wanna see electrical disconnect as it goes into the building. So that it's accessible for emergency personnel if there's truly, whether it be a fire with it or somebody backs over this EV charging station. So those are all things that we're engaged in now. So we're paying close attention when we know something is going on. Sometimes it may not hit our radar, something of a small project like that, but if you know that there's things coming in, or just, if you could just keep us engaged or just let us know, those are things that I know you guys don't think about that from like I have disconnect. Well,
Yeah, never have.
no, right, and listen, we wouldn't expect you to be experts, that's what we're here to help you with, along with Steve there, so we all work hand in hand, and that's really why we're here, just making this presentation to talk about, this latest thing as far as with lithium-ion batteries, because here's the thing, I don't think that there was any ill effect by Pepsi doing this, they wanted to be more efficient with their stuff, but they didn't think about the ramifications, what it potentially could do to their employees and to the first responders going there. So thank goodness, at least they finally reached out, but this is just going to be a bigger and bigger issue going on out here. So
is every electrical car lithium batteries?
the EV cars, yes. Your regular cars are still, they have lead acid batteries and different types in there, but EV cars, so that's like a whole nother thing. So we see a lot now, people with EV chargers, they're putting, I saw it up in Hill and Heights, we went on a fire alarm at somebody's house, and they got the charging station in the garage out there. And so the 110's not so bad, but when they start putting 220, the faster chargers, that opens up a whole nother thing, out there. So we're seeing it in residential areas, in our districts. You may not know that if your neighbor has an EV, trust me, they have a charger someplace. They come usually with a regular 110 plug in the wall, but if you want a fast charger, then you put 220 in, and that comes with more hazards out there. And so listen, they don't pull a permit for that, I can tell you right now. That's those people fly under the radar. So those are all things that we in the fire service are looking for when we pull up to a vehicle fire in the garage, or a vehicle fire or a car accident. We're looking at those type of things out there. And I appreciate something else.
So this was really just like an informative meeting. We talked to Mark last month, but what can we do to help you when you're approached by a contractor? Would a list of what we would like to see help through identifying some of these things that we'd like to see.
That would-
like new construction.
I think that would definitely help.
Educational meeting, I mean.
And this kind of thing definitely helps. You know, if we get a large project, we can ask that question now and you're gonna get the plans anyways. We don't talk about it now,
Car-
where the
car
charging is. and-
dealerships that are selling the EV cars, they should let the people know that you're buying it, that's the problems that you could arise. If they don't educate them, they just sell, they buy it, and they just do what they want. Next thing you know,
Well, it's so funny you should say that. About 3 months, and we're gonna put another one on. We really have partnered with Oregon Automotive. And because they have every type of vehicle that they have is got EV. So all of the fire service went over and did some training over at Oryx. We're gonna host another one in the fall. They just contacted me again. They want to do the same thing, but they want to incorporate more fire departments and more of the public over there. So we'll do a better job of advertising. This one was really meant for the fire departments out there. Again, it is so ever evolving and changing on a regular basis. But even, I'm gonna say the experts, I'm gonna use the word about most, they have very few, I'll say technicians that are certified, out there. But the batteries, Vertex does have a policy in place in the event that they have a vehicle, they have something, a means of pulling it out of the building out there. So we all are engaged with our local businesses when we can.
Right.
So,
Not to beat a dead horse,
Mm.
but you're here. So we can't put any type of standard in
Yeah.
requiring.
That's really it, in my, at the town level. Now,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't, this board can't create law.
So we can provide you with our list, and then you can, when new construction, you can provide them, with this is what fire departments are required. And like I said, Heidi sent us everything, so we go through that anyway, but, okay, so really stop with the town board more, set the standards. See what they can do for a standard.
that's really where that discussion should take place. You can't make laws, you can't, set that.
So if they, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, if they set the standard, then it comes down to here, guys, the planning board.
If they get through all the steps, and there's a bunch of steps that can't happen like that, if they go through all the steps and end up with a local law, then we are obliged to follow.
Yeah.
That, not what this board can do.
So between now and then, if we ask a builder to maybe implement some of these things and then they agree, well, maybe let's say their site plan.
The
Like, let's say their site plan or
Site plan's a give and take process, so, if some of this comes up, we can't contract someone. We can sort of discuss this and, take it into consideration, discuss this and on bigger project.
right, okay.
And really, that's what we're talking about, bigger projects.
Right.
We're not looking like the back, he's looking to convert an old abandoned garage, a car wash up there. We're really looking more globally on the bigger stuff that really is gonna truly have an effect, on our operations out there. I just want to take the opportunity, I say this to Steve all the time. This planning board and what we get from Heidi and you folks is, we appreciate it so much, because what's nice about how you do it, I know what's going on in Cicero or Brewerton and South Bay. We appreciate the openness and then sharing of the information out there. So just because it may not be in North Syracuse Fire District, if there's a fire there, we're gonna be going to it, so it's nice that we have an idea what it is, and vice versa. They know what's happening in the North Syracuse Fire District, so we really appreciate the openness and the communication really with the board and what you guys share with information out there for us.
As I mentioned at your last meeting that I attended, we really appreciate the input that we get from the fire department as we're going through site plan review. It's, public safety, making your job easier. It's hard to get more important than that. So we appreciate everything you folks do as well.
We appreciate that. So we will work on coming up with a list a checklist that help give you, but if there's something that we can do to help you or educate you, or I will just, Chief, I'll offer you folks like you do, Mark, if you folks wanna come down, we have a meeting, this Saturday, we pretty much are meeting once a month, it's at North Circus Firehouse, we're meeting at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, you guys are more than welcome to attend, and listen, we talk about things that we have an agenda, of what we have on, it's not just sit around and drink coffee. We, we have an agenda that we like to talk about, but if there's something that you folks wanna know or learn about, or listen, we'll be more than happy to help and educate you on that too.
Can we have a majority at a meeting like that? Can we have a majority at a meeting like that? So myself and any other one of you are welcome. I didn't think so.
We'll all show up at the same time.
So if anybody would like to go, you're welcome, but you have to coordinate through me.
8 o'clock when?
Send it to your, on our email list, so every time we look at the agenda, you're more than welcome to attend.
Yeah, only one of you, and meet with the, sorry, I didn't know that.
Actually, we actually add on the agenda a spot for you guys to just update us on some stuff.
We'll take turns.
Yeah.
You are more than welcome, so. But we appreciate your time.
Thanks for the time, thanks for the.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll get that list together.
Terrific.
So can I just say one thing? So I was, thought it was so beneficial to hear about the lithium batteries and I learned so much, but I think maybe you should prepare a presentation and go into the high school for the kids that have all these e-bikes and all these cell phones and things with lithium batteries that they wouldn't know either if there was a fire, how to handle it.
We certainly can look at that. We're not on video any longer, are we?
Yeah, you still are.
Chromebooks that the Baldwinsville Fire Department had that, where paper clips and.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Know that, and listen, that stuff is happening. We're getting, we've had house fires of people that charging, those, the little scooters, and it's supposed to be charged with a 20-volt charger, and someone was able to get a 40-volt charger in. This happened in the village of North Circus. It was I have it on a video that it went from here and it just exploded. Didn't even give a whiff of smoke. So there is just lots of documentation out there as far as how these lithium ion batteries by being abused, overcharged, damaged. That's why you have to, when you go do any flying, the TSA asks you got to check, you have some check boxes as far as, charging lithium ion batteries on a flight. So it's real, and there's been documented cases where fires are happening on airplanes and in other locations. So they have a believe it or not, the airlines have a plan in place for fires on board with that. But yes, so I appreciate that feedback. We can sit down and talk about that and maybe come up with something for doing it at the high school collectively.
Probably more important to the parents. The ones that are charging them.
Yeah. All our community members would benefit.
Definitely.
See, there's no standard charger neither. That's something else. There's so many different things. If there were-
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
We're good, but now you got this one, this one, this one. So,
Any other discussion?
yeah, really, trading this, I mean.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?